let's say I have an app. That app could be represented with a Helm chart or Kubernetes manifest. Let's say I wanted to apply that to a particular namespace in a particular Kubernetes cluster. Now, of course, I could go and trigger from each branch of a Git repo. I could have, for each branch, I could have a different namespace in Kubernetes and apply the different versions in each different branch of my CI/CD pipelines. I could have this automatically go and apply the manifest that's in a certain branch of my Git repo to a particular namespace in Kubernetes cluster. However, I'm going to do it more crudely here. I'm just going to assume that we have dev, test, and prod namespace for an app. We're going to go ahead and go kubectl create namespace. If you've already created the namespaces, then you don't need to do this step, but it's going to go and say create my app dev, my app test, my app prod, for example. You have as many as you want, one for each developer, if you want to isolate those if they're developing in separate branches. And then here I'm going to also go and say kubectl apply with, in this case, not from separate branches of a Git repo, but just this one same myapp YAML. And going to apply that into the myapp-ns namespace. All right? So just go ahead and do this right here. Ready? Set? Here we go. So it creates the namespace, applies Kubernetes manifest. And again, in this case, it's the same manifest 3 times. But again, if you're triggering it with CI/CD differences and different versions of your Helm chart or your Kubernetes manifest that are in different branches, different versions, then you'll have some distinctions here. But here, we do have then in each of the namespaces, I could say get all in the myapp-dev namespace, and I have this configured over here. And if I go and I do kubectl scale of the deployment myapp over in the myapp-dev namespace, and I specify number of replicas, usually spelled that way. Then I've scaled this deployment. So if I go back and look again, just to be sure, then I've scaled that deployment. But this is, of course, independent of what's running in the other namespaces. Myapp test and myapp prod each have their own separate configurations. Of all the resources, if we have config maps and secrets and certainly services and other sorts of components, ingress objects, then those, along with the deployment, replica set, pod combinations here, those would be, again, each separate. All right, so that's it. You can apply resources from the same template or different versions of the same template into different Kubernetes namespaces. Hopefully, this is helpful for you. Thank you.